Hey guys, welcome back. Now we are working on number 9. So this question says, if xy is the solution of the system of equations 2y equals 3x minus 7 and 4x equals 3y plus 10, then x equals what? So the first thing I want to explain is what a solution to a system of equations is. A system of equations is simply one or more equations. They just call it a system. I don't really know why, but don't let that confuse you. Just know that it's multiple equations. So now the solution part is what you're looking for, and that is a point or points of intersection. So let's say you have two lines. These are both straight lines, by the way. Let's say one of them is here, and let's say one of them is here. The solution would be this point here. So now there is a possibility. Let's say we have another case. Just imagine this is y and x. I didn't draw them very straightly. And now let's say we have two parallel lines. So again, these aren't going to be straight, but just use your imagination. Okay, so imagine that these are parallel. So in this case, they're never going to intersect, and therefore this would be no solution. Now we have one more possibility, and that's if the lines were directly on top of each other. So that would be an example. Let's say you have y equals x plus 1, and then you have 2y equals 2x plus 2. So if you notice, this equation is just a multiple of this equation, and that means it's going to be the same exact line. So it's going to be just right on top of one another. And that means that there are infinitely many solutions. Okay, so now these are our three options. We can either get one intersection if they're both linear. We'll have one point where they intersect. We'll have no solution if they're parallel, or we'll have infinitely many solutions. So now let's talk about how to solve these. Let me clear the screen really quick. Okay, so now let's say we have 2y equals 3x minus 7 and 4x equals 3y plus 10. There are three different ways to solve this. We can use substitution, which is where we solve one equation for, let's say, y and plug it in. We can use elimination, or we can use graphing. So these are the three ways to solve. In this case, I'm going to pick to use substitution. That's because I just think it's the fastest, and kind of after a while you'll kind of start to get an eye for it. So what that means is I'm going to pick the first equation, I'm going to solve for y, and I'm going to substitute it into the second equation. So to do that, I'm basically going to divide everything in the first equation by 2. So I'm going to get y equals 3x minus 7 over 2. Now I'm going to take this and substitute that in for y. So then I'm going to get 4x equals 3 times 3x minus 7 over 2 plus 10. Now all I have to do is just solve for x. So I'm going to distribute this 3 in. So 3 times 3 is 9. 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, now I want to get rid of this 2. So to do that, I'm going to multiply everything by 2. So I'm going to get 8x equals 9x minus 21 plus 20. Now I'm going to combine like terms. 8x equals 9x minus 1. I'm going to subtract my 9. So minus 9x gives us minus x equals minus 1, and therefore x equals 1. So now it looks like our answer is going to be choice B. Let's just double check that and make sure. So let's plug it into the top equation to get y. 2y equals 3 times 1 minus 7. 2y equals 6 minus 7. 2y equals negative 1. Y equals negative 1/2. Now let's plug those into the second equation just to check it. So 4 equals, that would be 4 times 1, but I just didn't write that, equals 3 times negative 1/2 plus 10. 4 equals negative 3 over 2 plus 20 over 2. 4 equals 17 over 2. So it doesn't look like this works out. So that means I most likely made a mistake somewhere. Oh, and I think I already see it because 3 times 1 is 3. So that would have been a -4. That would have been a -2. Now let's try this again with this as a -2. Sorry, this is such a messy screen. I'm going to move it down here. Okay, so we would have had 4 equals -6 plus 10. 4 equals 4, and that checks out. To be absolutely sure that this was in fact our solution, we would have to plug it into both equations and check it. But for the context of this video, I'm not going to do that, and I'm just going to trust my math. So that means the overall solution would be 1, -2. You always want to give your answer as an ordered pair, but in this case, it's just asking for x, so x equals 1. All right, well, I do apologize for the messy screen. Hopefully you could follow all of that. I know I went a bit quickly when I was just checking my work, but if you need to, just go back and rewatch. All right, well, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next video.